A violent power struggle in Yemen is plunging the country into a deepening humanitarian crisis. Now reports that an airstrike from the Saudi-led coalition may have hit the wrong target. CCTV's Jim Spellman joins us in our Washington newsroom with more. Jim.
As often happens in conflicts like this, details can be hard to pin down, but sources within the Yemeni government as well as the Houthi rebels are telling press outlets that a Saudi airstrike targeting an airbase in southwest Yemen instead hit a school about 500 meters from the base. A rebel-controlled TV station reports 3 children were killed. We haven't received any official response from Saudi Arabia at this point. That particular strike, one of many, aimed at weakening the Houthi rebels who now control the capital Sana'a and other parts of the country.
The Saudi-led airstrike campaign in Yemen has already had a huge humanitarian impact. According to the UN, more than 500 civilians have been killed, including 74 children since March 26th, when the airstrikes began. At least 44 children have been wounded and 100,000 people displaced. In addition, there are food shortages, power outages, and a lack of medical supplies.
The humanitarian conditions are very, very bad. Besides the airstrikes, which we can hear a little bit right now, there are also wars and battles that are still going on in some of the areas, and particularly in Aden. The hospitals are suffering a lot. They are unable to care for the large numbers of wounded.
And in those hospitals, anguish.
If their children were in a position of my child, what would their response be? Look how awful our situation is right now, where our children are burned and we are homeless. May God punish those who displace people from their homes like this.
And anger towards Saudi Arabia, even from the youngest victims. I'm fighting Saudis with it, he says. Amid the chaos, the UN and NGOs are having trouble getting aid into the country.
The International Committee of the Red Cross has been negotiating with various factions on the ground in the port city of Aden to deliver 2 planes full of supplies. So far, they haven't been able to get those planes into the country, Elaine.
And Jim, what about foreigners in Yemen? Have they been able to escape the country?
A Chinese military ship was able to ferry about 225 foreigners to Djibouti. Most of those people were Pakistanis who then flew to Islamabad. But there are still many more foreigners stuck throughout Yemen hoping to get out. There have been sporadic flights, and other nations have also been assisting, as China has been, with people bringing people out by boats. But it's harrowing. There's just not a lot of options left for those foreigners in the country, Elaine.
All right, Jim Spellman in our Washington newsroom.